if you see that there are 10-year-olds with black belts in the martial arts school, then beware, because that place is probably a Mag dojo. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to continue about the parent-children martial arts classes series. So we are going to talk about all the important things you must ask as a parent before choosing a martial arts school for your child. Choosing the right martial arts school for your child or for yourself is an important decision. So let's talk about it. Choosing the right school can lead for years of enjoyment and benefit. Choosing the wrong school can be a waste of time, money, energy, and even lead to injuries. So here are my recommendations on what you should pay attention to and always ask before joining any martial arts school in order to avoid Mag dojo. First of all, you should ask the instructor how long have they been teaching at the current location. Why is it important? Well, it's not enough to simply ask how long the school has been in business, right? It's important to know whether it's been in the same location, because that implies a lot of things. You should generally avoid any school that has been at its current location for less than 5 to 10 years, right? So if the school has been in the same place for 5 years, that's generally a good thing, because if they have been able to stay at the same place, pay the rent, everything goes well, there is no problem, that means that martial arts school is beneficial for that building. Usually it's a school or a gymnasium, so it's good for everyone. That's a very good indicator. If they have been there for 10 years, it's a good indicator that they're gonna be there for a very long time. What are the martial arts school hours? This is a tricky question because you already assume that most schools will be in the afternoon, obviously when the kids get out from regular school and they get to do other activities. You also have to understand that many instructors are doing part-time schooling, meaning that the instructor usually works a full-time job by herself or himself. Because they have a full-time job, they're only going to show up in the afternoon for the children's classes, and that means they are doing everything. They are juggling the teaching, answering phones, paying bills, everything else. And it's very common to do that. There are other schools where they are only doing martial arts. They claim they are professional martial arts schools. Martial arts is all that they do and there is nothing else. That can be an option if you're working from home and you can go to classes during the day and not just in the afternoon or evening. But then again, most martial art instructors are doing martial arts as a part-time job. They have other full professional careers most of the time. Very important to ask the instructor, how are the classes separated? Are they separated by age or by rank? There are always several ways how martial art instructors split their classes. Most split their classes by rank, so the levels and color belts, the experience level basically, but others split their class by age group. This is also very important to ask because this is a very important distinction. The idea of grouping students by experience sounds like a good idea. Maybe it's not a best thing to do. For example, 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, they are very different and they learn in different ways, so it might not be the best idea to put them into the same group, because what can be fun for a 4 or 5-year-old is not fun anymore for a 10-year-old, right? The most important thing is what they are learning and how are they learning it. It's crucial, especially for very young children, that the students are taught in a way that is most conducive to their age and their learning levels. Don't expect a 5-year-old to do a tornado kick, right? So it's very important that I think to get the students separated by age. Also, the ranking for children are not the same as for teenagers or adults. So again, if you see that there are 10-year-olds with black belts in the martial arts school, then beware, because that place is probably a Mag dojo. If there are a lot of children in that specific martial arts school, that's very good, because then they can take the classes in a different level. They can be grouped by age and grades, and they can have different preschoolers or like elementary schoolers, middle school, 10th grade, 11th grade to adult. It's very good, because these are going to be able to ensure that students are always learning based on their personal level of development. Next question that many parents tend to ask: How often will the child or you as a parent going to advance if you do martial arts? That's not a tricky question. Anytime when someone gives a precise answer, maybe don't engage anymore, because that place is probably a McDojo. We already talked about this in a previous video. I'm going to link it here or here. Every student is different and everyone learns in a different pace. Some schools like to promise to get a black belt in a year or two. That's never a good thing, so be careful. These McDojos can crank up, martial artists in a year, but it's not gonna be compared to people who are actually putting in the hard work and earning that belt. Every student in the school should be paced at their own level based on their own merits, and they're gonna advance as such. It's possible, but very rare for someone to earn the black belt in 3 to 4 years. It depends on the situation. It generally takes 5 to 6 years to earn a black belt in most martial arts. It depends on the person and the instructor. Very important to avoid places where they're gonna promise that in 2 months you're gonna be a yellow belt, and then in 6 months you can be a red belt, and so on and so on. It doesn't work like that. Next important question is about the rates and the fees. It's important to talk about this because everybody has a budget, and rates are important but should not be the determining factor. It's important to visit the school and talk to the instructor and get clear on the vision of what the rates you are paying for. It's common to just find a school that may be a little bit more pricey, but it gives you a much greater value for your child. And that is much more important than the fee. Lots of schools will sign you up, and not until later that you find out that they have all kinds of hidden fees, which is not very good, and it's a red flag that maybe that place is a McDojo. And there are certainly other fees like for testing or going to tournaments, but that's a separate thing. So it's very important to ask the instructor about the prices up front. Most of the instructors have a set price, so it depends that for 1 month you have 2 classes, for example Monday and Friday, and that's going to be 8 classes in 1 month, depending on the month. Then there is a flat fee for a monthly membership. Some martial arts studios, they have quarterly membership, so 3 months, then you have to pay. But for children, they sometimes just do 1 month. Again, make sure that you pay the fee, be on time, because many of the instructors have to pay for a large variety of things. Like they have to pay for renting the building, they have to pay for the equipment, and so on and so on. If they have somebody to help them out during the classes, they have to pay that person. So it involves a lot of things. Make sure you pay on time. For the extra fees, most of the time in martial arts, you have to pay for the grading. So there is a set price you have to pay. In most cases, if you or your child does not pass that grading, you don't lose that money. You're gonna get it back, and then you can use that money again for the next grading. There are also other costs involved, including wearing your dobak or any type of martial arts outfit. That's a set cost. Also, if you need sparring equipment, basically that costs a flat fee in most places. Just look for something that's recommended by the instructor, a well-known brand. It's better to buy once that's good than to buy it and it just gets torn apart. Also pay attention to never join a school that requires you to sign a contract. If you ever decide to leave, they will stick you with the cancellation fees and all kinds of things, and you don't want to do that. Don't sign any contracts, but you also have to make sure that when you sign up for the lessons on a month-to-month or a quarterly basis, depending on what the situation is in that martial arts school. Some of them offer like 6 or 12 months contracts at a significantly reduced price. This is for those people who are actually taking that martial art seriously, and they're gonna keep going and practicing. At these places, if you ever decide to quit before the contract is up for whatever reason, they only ask you to pay for the difference between the standard rate and the discount that you received. Another important factor to look at is what qualifications your instructors have. Are there other volunteers to help at the classes? And what are their qualifications? You have to make sure that the instructor is a professional, they are rigorously trained and tested, and not just in martial arts, but they also keep teaching the martial arts to others. And if there are other volunteers, they can be helped to demonstrate the different aspects of martial arts with the instructor. That's also very helpful. So martial arts is like a pyramid system usually, because there's always somebody ranking higher than you. If your instructor is busy taking the phone calls or doing the bills and anything else because they are alone, that's not good. They're gonna need help, and they're gonna find somebody to help them with the class. That's gonna be very beneficial. But also, if you have the instructor and the instructor has the time and energy, then they're gonna teach you. It is the main purpose of every martial art instructor to keep on teaching the martial art to those who are interested in learning it. It's also very important to ask whether visitors are welcomed. Very important. If a school doesn't allow visitors, then maybe it's best to get away. If they don't allow for the parents to watch the kids' classes, then just leave. It's best for it. Most parents are welcomed at martial arts clubs, and they can have their own classes. Maybe during when the kids are doing their classes, the kids' classes, the parents have their own classes with another instructor. Or if they don't want to practice, they can just watch their children to practice martial arts. There's usually a visitor area seating in most martial arts classes. Another important thing to ask is, how does the instructor teach the things they claim to teach, especially things like life skills and good values? Many of martial arts teachers think that good values and life skills are something that can be taught just by being there, right? They hang on some scenic posters and saying that this is honor and respect and all these words and whatnot, but they sometimes don't even make the students to repeat these phrases. They don't even know what they mean, and they don't care about it. That's should be part of their job. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Usually you should ask the martial art instructor what are the values that they teach to children and to adults too. You can also ask them what are they good for and how are they going to use that in the future. There are different things that children, teens and adults are going to learn throughout martial arts. Another important thing to ask the instructor is, what type of martial arts are they teaching? You know, it's different, because if you choose grappling style or if you choose striking style, it's not the same. And if your child doesn't know what they want to do, they have to try. If they like to do grappling and wrestling, it's good for them to go into that style. If they like more striking and kicking, it's good to do Taekwondo or karate, for example. But beware if any teacher says that their style of martial art is the best. There's no such thing. It all comes down to individual effort and training. Before making a commitment, it's good to ask whether your child or you can do a trial class. Most places, they are going to allow you, because this is the way when you're gonna find out if this martial art style and school is the right fit for you or your child. Many places, they don't do this. They don't have free classes, but they offer like a introductory course over the weekend where they teach the basics. It's very important to see and feel the atmosphere in the martial arts class during the class, because that's going to give you a good feeling on whether you want to continue here or would you like to move on. Also, it's good to ask whether this particular school is interested in enrolling children or adults in tournaments, or are they required at all? Because some schools focus heavily on tournaments and some don't. They do the traditional martial arts where it's not about competition. And there are some that fall in the middle. The schools that heavily focus on the tournaments, they require the child to have everything for the sparring equipment, maybe double. For them to get the new belt, they have to pass tests, and usually they practice only one aspect of martial arts. It's important to know, because tournaments are extra expensive and it's definitely not for everyone. So if that club is focusing on traditional martial arts, they learn the wholeness of martial arts, not just one aspect, for example, just sparring or just doing the patterns. Most schools tend to participate in tournaments, but they don't make the children or the adults go to tournaments. It should be completely optional, and they should not separate the training for the competitors or the ones who are not competing. They can have extra classes for competitors, but that shouldn't interfere with the general class. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned what are the important things to ask before joining any type of martial arts school, either for you or for your child. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one. Taekwon!